All right. Well, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Thrilled to be here with all of you today to bring another Talk It Tuesday with Travel Nevada. I'm joined by Tracy Barnhouse and Jennifer Diaz, and we're going to take you through a couple more road trips today. Just to make sure you guys can all hear and see us. If you can just maybe chat in the box where you're coming by typing in the box where you're calling in from today. Just make sure that you can hear and see us okay. That would be great. Awesome. Well, it's more and more of an exciting time for our industry down under. I know some of us in New Zealand and Queensland and WA are maybe just hanging out to reopening, but congratulations to those guys in New South Wales that saw Qantas's flights yesterday land and depart to the US and to LA for the first time in a long time. I know it made me super excited. The future's getting closer and closer, and then now in many cases is here. And we can get back traveling to the USA. With these plans in place, obviously great timing for Tracy and Jennifer to be bringing us Travel Nevada road trip number 3 as part of our series. Today is an in-depth understanding of Great Basin Highway and the loneliest road in America. Don't forget, just before Christmas, we're also going to be hosting an online trivia event for everyone with great prizes too. But there are prizes for today, just so everyone's aware. We're going to ask some questions in a moment. You have to answer those questions. We're going to ask some questions in the middle today to mix it up as well. And then we're going to ask some questions at the end. And you have to answer all those questions correctly to be in for one of our great prize draws. In case you haven't met me before, I'm Corey Marshall, the account director for Australia and New Zealand with Travel Nevada. And if you guys have any questions as you go along today, feel free to drop those right into the question box, and we'll either get Jennifer and Tracy to answer them as they go or at the end of the presentation. We're, of course, always available for additional questions on email too. So let's get those pre-questions up. They're familiar if you're familiar with the Travel Nevada webinar series. We're trying to understand how you're increasing your knowledge and maybe how much more you're selling of our Nevada road trips as we go. So go ahead and answer these right on the screen. So have you been to Las Vegas? Yes or no? Have you driven any of these iconic Nevada road trips yourself? And so they're listed on the screen, and obviously we've been through 4 of them now, and today's number 5 and 6. But it's a multi-choice, so go ahead and click as many boxes as you've driven. And then have you sold, number 3, any of those iconic road trips to your clients, and select all that has apply. And the last question, are you planning on attending all 5 road trip webinars and final trivia event with us? I see Tracy's already given you her contact details, which is great. And we will also include those and Jennifer's in our follow-up email tomorrow. So we'll just give you a few more seconds to answer these questions. And it looks like we're almost there. Brilliant. If you can't move past question 1, maybe just try scrolling if you're having issues, just on the screen itself. If not, that's okay. We'll make sure we get them out to you as well, and you can answer them manually and send them back to us. So that's all good. Okay, brilliant. Awesome. Well, it gives me a great pleasure to turn it over to our hosts with the most, all the way from Carson City in Nevada. Tracy and Jennifer, why don't you take it away?
Thanks, Corey. We appreciate everyone joining us this morning / afternoon for us. Thank you. And hello, everyone. I'm Jennifer, and Tracy is here with me as well.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tracy Barnhouse. Thanks for joining us again. I handle all the public relations for Travel Nevada, so I'm excited to take you on the road again and introduce you to a couple more of our road trips. All right.
We'll start with a fun video. That was a nice little snippet of what Great Basin Highway has to offer. And it has, you mentioned, our contact information is here in the first slide. And as we continue with our presentation, if you have any questions, please type them. We'll do our best to answer everybody. But as you can tell, Nevada has a lot of nature, and overall we have 10 road trips that you can explore within the state of Nevada, or you can include them as your addition to when you're visiting our neighboring states of California, Utah, Arizona, Idaho, and Oregon. So we're located centrally in the West Coast, so that's why I like to say we are at the center of your road trip plans. And
yeah, so if you were on the call last week, we talked about how Nevada is a state of contrast. You can really get these exciting cities like Las Vegas and Reno, which have amazing nightlife, wonderful restaurants, fun things to do in the city itself. But I think the real magic lies out beyond those two metropolitan areas into what is the real Nevada, the real landscape, the beautiful nature that you see in this picture down here below. It really is where you'll find all the amazing outdoor activities, lots of fun nature hikes to take and see and do. And like Jennifer mentioned before, all the road trips are kind of connect, so they cover the entire state. Most of them start or end in the Reno or Las Vegas area. So there's a lot of connectivity between the airports in both of those cities. So you could pick up a car in either one of those airports and choose which adventure you'd like to take. So we're excited to take you on a couple of those today.
like from Las Vegas, so like
I
Trace
went
mentioned,
I went too forward. I went forward too fast.
Sorry. I think we went too fast. Sorry. Okay, perfect. Go ahead, Tracy.
So this is me. Okay, all right. So today we're taking you on the Great Basin Highway. The Great Basin Highway starts in the Las Vegas area, and it goes north from there along US 93, which has 6 Nevada state parks on it, all with their own unique characteristics. Lots of different things to see and do along in each of those state parks, which we'll get into in a little bit. And it ends in Great Basin National Park, which is one of 2 of Nevada's national parks. We claim Death Valley as a national park, even though most of it falls into California, but we think the best part falls in Nevada, of course. So we will hit the road to Great Basin.
Yes. So you've been in Vegas, you've done your Vegas trip, you hit up all the casinos, the nightclubs. Now get out and detox, right? Go see the nature that Nevada has to offer. So first park that we recommend, which is surprisingly a state park for us, is Valley of Fire. It's the largest state park for the state of Nevada. It's also one of the most impressive state parks for us. And the sandstone formations were created back when dinosaurs were roaming around here on Earth. So this beautiful picture that you're seeing here, it's not photoshopped. That is actually like how the rocks, the red color of the rocks is beautiful. It's hot, but it's an amazing park to explore. And a great way to kick off your road trip of state parks. Again, I feel like this one should be considered a national park, if you ask me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, agreed. All right, in that video that you saw, the next stop on our road trip is to Kershaw-Ryan State Park. It is, a lot of people think of Nevada and they think it is, kind of that picture that we saw before. It's very brown, it's very, desert, but we really do have a lot of spring-fed parks, and Kershaw-Ryan is one of the examples of one of those state parks that's fed by a spring, and so you'll find lots of green trees and lush landscape. It is a really beautiful state park. One of the good things about, I think, all the state parks that are along this road trip, they're not very crowded, so you're not going to find, hordes of people in the state parks. You really feel like you have the place to yourself. And I think that's one of the amazing things, is that you can be on a hiking trail, beautifully maintained and paved and wonderful, and not really see anybody else. So I think that's one of the great things about all these state parks in particular. And as we get a little bit closer to Great Basin National Park, that as well. So Kershaw-Ryan is also close to the town of Caliente, which has rebranded itself recently as a mountain biking destination. So they have built a mountain bike skills park right in the middle of town where you can pack up your bikes, and it's really for all ages. It's for kids up to professionals. You can get on the skills park bike skills, trail, that's hard to say, and really test your skills there before you hit the trails of Caliente. Like it mentioned in that video that you saw before, they're planning 40 more miles of trails. So there really is some great recreation to do in this area.
Yes, and if you're biking enthusiast, that's where you should be going, Caliente. So from Kershaw Ryan State Park to Cathedral Gorge is only a 28-minute drive. Again, all of these parks, it's like one after the other, and the scenic views that you're seeing, you go from greenery back to desert. So it's impressive to me. Like one area of Nevada is green and luscious, and then you go back in 30-minute drive and you're back to the desert. So that's where we get to Cathedral Gorge State Park. It was at one point underwater and completely covered underwater. So that's why you have this high formations of like what would be in a cave, a stalactites, but backwards because it's in the ground up, from the ground up.
Yes.
And then all the amazing views, such as what you saw in the video, or like this picture over here. Again, it's one of my favorite parks here in the state of Nevada. It should be a national park if you ask me, and it's really close to a fun town of Pioche, which prides itself in being Nevada's liveliest ghost town. It was a mining town that boomed back in the 1800s, and people still live there. You can get a true Western atmosphere when you go visit the town and the town of Pioche. And so again, it's only within 10-minute drive of Cathedral Gorge. So even though you're taking this trip up 93, and it's a different, it's a different side of what you could imagine. Everyone's friendly. Everything's so close by. You're not going to get lost. Don't be afraid of the drive, please, because we have really good signage.
That is true. So from Pioche, which Jennifer said, the one place we like to send, at least I like to send media to, there's a hotel called the Overland Saloon in Pioche that is just, take the Wild West and go back in time, and that's what you get. So if you're looking for kind of that authentic American West experience, with kind of that rough and tumble, Wild West experience, the Overland is definitely a place that media definitely like to go. And it's definitely worth a stop to meet and talk to the bartenders. Like Jennifer said, everybody along this road trip are, they're happy that you're in their community, and they're going to be welcoming and want to learn where you're from and what you're seeing along the way, and are happy to talk to you. So it's a lot of fun. So the next place on our road trip along US 93, which is Great Basin Highway, is Ward Charcoal Oven State Park. We mentioned there's lots of state parks along this road trip. So if you're traveling multi-generational family, there's a lot of things for kids to do. If you're with a girls trip, there's lots of things for different demographics, different travelers. Ward Charcoal Oven State Park has these beehive-shaped kilns that were used back in the 1800s to burn charcoal to keep warm. But I think the most interesting thing about the charcoal ovens themselves are, it's said that bandits used to hide out, and this is along the Pony Express. So when the Pony Express riders would come through town, they might be ambushed from people that were hiding out in these kilns. So kind of a scary history there, but you can kind of, when you're there, you can kind of picture it happening. These are kind of, out in this remote area. They kind of come out of nowhere. So, you can kind of take yourself back to then and riding along the bravery that those people had when they were riding across the desert. And the things that they had to face. So you can go in here now. They're about 30 feet high, which I don't know that in metric systems, so I apologize. But they're very huge and really fun to explore.
And then as you finish your day, you are going to end up from the Ward Charcoal Ovens. You're going to end up your first leg of the trip in Ely, which is the main, it has a Pony Express office and the stagecoach, like Tracy just mentioned. That was like, I don't know if anyone, the audience is familiar with the Pony Express, but that was back then what used to carry the mail for us from one end to another end of our little towns and mining towns. So reason for why it used to be the main source for robbers and bandits to wanna steal all the goods that they were carrying in a pony. But that's how Ely started, was because of the Pony Express. That's how it became a community. It rapidly grew as the Northern Nevada Railway started to be part of the transportation system for Nevada, and the community now prides himself in just being this welcoming community again. Lots of history that you're going to explore and you're going to learn. Visitors can go to the Renaissance Village and see homes that are a replica of how the town used to be before, and the diversity that the town used to have before as well. All kinds of ethnicities, or the main attraction at nighttime especially, or actually for us, Halloween just passed, so I know they do a great Halloween hunted steamboat. The train does a hunted train ride during October for Halloween, and then for Christmas they'll do the Polar Express. That's the next one coming up. And then they have great stargazing tours throughout the year that you can take, or I'm not sure if anyone watches The Big Bang Theory, but the episode where Sheldon gets to be the engineer, it was actually based on Northern Nevada Railway train that you can pay to be the engineer for a day here. So the train has become its main attraction for tourists, and again, it's really close to Great Basin National Park and surrounded by all the other state parks. So a great way to end your day is at Ely and they have multiple lodging options that you can choose from as well.
Yeah, I actually was going to mention that. So one of the cool lodging accommodation places, things that are in Ely, you can actually sleep in the bunkhouse of the train at the train station. So my family and I did that a couple summers ago. We went out and you can book a room in the bunkhouse itself and stay there. And if you're really into trains and seeing the comings and goings and all the operations, it's a working trade yard, but you're allowed to walk around and kind of see what everybody's doing. It's actually encouraged to do that. So if you're into that sort of thing, I would definitely recommend bunking at the bunkhouse, sleeping at the bunkhouse, and getting the full experience. Another really big thing about the Northern Nevada Railway is they have a famous cat. I don't know if anybody out there has heard of Dirt the cat, but he's a cat who was born in the rail yard and took a liking to all the people who worked there, and the people loved him equally. And he's kind of become the mascot of this area. He's named that because he likes to roll around in the dirt, and he's usually super, super dirty. He doesn't like to take baths, as cats, don't like to take baths. So he actually has a calendar. He's been featured on a number of publications, worldwide. So if you have a chance to check out Dirt the cat, you'll find some information about him, but you should definitely come out to Ely to meet him in person. He has a sibling too now. There's another, Dirt the cat in training who makes its way, through the rail yard.
Yes, they found him in the rail yard too, just like they did with Dirt the cat. So they adopted him.
I love it. Something else I too wanted to mention before we move on to the next state park is that there's right outside of Ely is Garnet Hill. So if you're into rock hounding, going and finding, Nevada is full of turquoise and garnets and lots of gems and things like that. So Garnet Hill is somewhere you can go and bring your hammer, bring all your tools for rock hounding, and you can actually go and rock hound for garnets. And then you could take it to a store in Ely and they could turn that into, a necklace, a bracelet, a ring, depending on what it is. So that's kind of something fun and different that you can do out there. I haven't personally done it because I've heard that the best time to do it is after a rain shower, which they just got a ton of rain out there. So it's probably really great right now. But you can find them just kind of on the ground, which amazes me. I think that's a lot of fun too. So moving on to Cave Lake State Park. So it's about 20 minutes from Ely. Ely's a great home base for a lot of exploring. So you could, like Jennifer mentioned, they have, big chain hotels. They also have the bunkhouse if that's your sort of thing. But you can also, just kind of set up shop there, use Ely as your home base, and then go out from there and explore to where we'll get to in a second, which is Great Basin National Park. But you can also go to Cave Lake State Park and do a lot of, like you can see from the picture, there's a lot of stand-up paddleboard. There's a lot of water sport activities, but you can also, right now, really popular is their scenic drive. Our fall colors are kind of at their peak right now they're about to go away, and we'll have bare trees for a little bit out here. But right now, is a great time to visit for the beautiful fall colors, and lots of great hiking trails around here as well. So, and like I mentioned earlier, all the activities are scalable based on your ability level. So if you're with kids who just want to go on an easy hike, we have that. But if you want something a little bit more challenging, we have that too. So it's really all dependent on how you like to travel and what you like to do, and we can make it happen. You just look into it and we can let you know. So the next slide, we're going to go to my favorite national park.
Yay, from Cave Lake to Great Basin National Park. No bias on our end, right?
None.
This national park features, the main attraction is, everyone knows about the national parks and how complicated it can be to get to the main points of the national parks because it's overcrowded, overrun. Not Great Basin National Park. We do a great job at promoting the park, but I think everyone still gets so much media consumption from our surrounding states national parks, Yosemite, Zion, all the big names, right? So everyone's so focused, okay, I got to go to these ones, that I think Great Basin kind of gets overlooked. But for us, it's kind of like, take that to your advantage, because you're not going to deal with the crazy crowds. It's the least visited national park of all the national parks. You're still going to have an amazing experience. Like if you were to go to Zion, it's just a different scenery. But you can do a stargazing tour at Great Basin National Park, or go to the Lehman Caves and get to learn about the stalactites and the cave bacon that gets formed around, or great hiking. All of that stuff is offered at the park. Again, you're not going to deal with the crazy crowds, and it should be also a park that everyone should mark off, just like everybody else is marking off all the other ones. And yeah, I'll show you guys. They built this new amphitheater that at night, for you to see the Milky Way. You can see the Milky Way with the naked eye when you're here at the Great Basin. I think it's registered, right? Tracy has one of the darkest.
Yeah.
So you're still gonna have a great stargazing experience, just like any other national park would offer. But again, less crowds.
Yeah, and something I wanted to mention too about Great Basin is it's home to the bristlecone pine, which is one of the most ancient tree in the world. It's up to 5,000 years old. There were some studies that were done in the 60s that determined its age. So there are trails that you can hike to see the bristlecone pines. Super fun experience. And then the picture that you see on the screen is the Astronomy Amphitheater. They just opened this in January of 2021. It seats 250 people, and it's outfitted by red lights. So red lights don't impact your vision when you're looking at the stars. So they have, instead of park rangers, they have dark rangers who lead workshops here, and they have the big telescopes, and everybody can kind of see what you're seeing out in the sky. They also have an astronomy festival every September out here, and it brings in people from all over to see the skies. It is an international dark sky park, and they say that it's not only for its dark skies, but because of its remote location, it's also known for being the quietest. So they're calling it an endangered resource because the skies are so dark and it's also so quiet, and you don't really find that many other places. So Great Basin is, I could go on and on and on about Great Basin National Park. I love it so much. It's a beautiful, beautiful place to visit. And there's accommodations right outside the gate. On the previous slide, you saw the Stargazer Inn. Of course, they're leaning into the whole dark skies tourism, which is really big for Nevada. And you can really find that in a lot of places outside of Great Basin National Park itself as well. The community as a whole is kind of rallied around this dark skies promotion, and are really promoting it. So here's a couple pictures of my kids at Great Basin National Park, and this is the bristlecone pine tree that we talked about. So a lot of fun to go visit, and definitely well worth the Junior Ranger badge if you have kids. That's like the hardest one to get, and they have like major cred with their friends because they have the Junior Ranger pin from Great Basin.
Amazing. So this brings us to the halfway point in today's one of 2 road trips. And actually, if you're planning one of your customers' trips, it's literally the halfway point as you head up Great Basin Highway before you then head across the state on the Loneliest Road. And a great place to segue into our first 3 trivia questions. So remember, we'll answer these ones, and then we'll go into the next road trip, and then we'll answer 3 at the end. So question number 1 from Great Basin Highway is, this is Nevada's oldest and most frequently visited state park. Is it Sand Harbor State Park, Valley of Fire State Park, or Cave Lake State Park? And that's question number 1.
Question 2 is, this town has been recently reborn as a mountain biking destination. Is it Caliente, Austin, or Beatty?
And then question number 3, Dove has Nevada's liveliest ghost towns. This place is famous for its mining history.
I think you said that question verbatim during the presentation too, Jennifer, so kudos.
So just remember to answer the 3 questions right on your screen and then hit submit, and we'll get those answers recorded. It's great to see so many comments as well as we go through today. I know we've seen some hashtags about Dirt the Cat already, and feel free to check that out as well. But yeah, we'll turn it back over to Tracy and Jennifer to take us through the second part of part 2, the Loneliest Road.
Yeah. So what we forgot to mention, it's usually what we recommend is your second part of the trip. We'll go back to Ely, or you could stay at the Stargazer, which is close to Great Basin National Park, and then head your way down to Highway 50. Just because we want you guys to not be rushed, get the most experience out of going to Cave Lake, and especially Great Basin National Park. It has so much to offer that you need a whole day. We recommend a whole day for you to explore it.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, as we said, we'll start into the loneliest road in America, which is funny because we had this tagline before COVID happened. So
we had the tagline since, I think, what, 1980 something, 1986.
1986.
So do you want me to give a quick story about why it's named the loneliest road in America?
Yes. So 1986 is when. Go ahead.
Oh,
you can
okay. So back in 1986, there was a writer who wrote for Life magazine who came out with an article that said, you know, this stretch of highway in Nevada, don't do it unless you are, you know, confident of your survival skills. You know how to change your tire. You have extra fuel. You have extra water. You know, we don't recommend it. So Jennifer, our predecessors here at Travel Nevada, were like, well, I mean, we're going to show all the amazing things that are along this road trip and what you should stop and see and what you should go explore. So the loneliest road in America was born and is kind of the backbone to all of our other 10 road trips. It's kind of like the original of our road trips. So super excited to talk about this one with you guys today.
Yeah, and then just another side note. So the writer was trying to typically wrote 66, right? That's the famous one. He thought it was going to be almost the same as, you know, Highway 50 because it starts from the East Coast, from Maine, and ends in Sacramento. So he did take that whole trip, but back then, you know, there was no GPS, nothing that told you when you should be getting gas. So he just assumed, didn't do his homework, that it was going to be the same as Route 66, where there's all these towns and all this, you know, tourist stuff. And that's why he got in a pickle and gave us his bad review. So from Ely to Eureka, which is only an hour and 15 minutes, it's not a bad drive. It's, you know, I think it's reasonable. When you say get to Eureka, you can fuel up, get gas, whatever, if you forgot to in Ely. So you'll get to Eureka, which prides itself for being the friendliest town in the loneliest road. It's a cute, charming town. They have great history of its mining. It's actually, if you look at a map, Eureka is in the center of Nevada, like pretty much in the center of Nevada. So reason why it's like Eureka, like at least that's what they told me.
We'll go with it.
And the Opera House is his main attraction. It's an original opera house from the 1800s. It has its own beauty. Now they use it. Back then it was used for masquerade balls and plays. They still do local plays and local music, concerts. They still do events in there. So it's an acting or operating opera house. You never know what kind of event could be going on when you're traveling down the Loneliest road. So I definitely recommend that you check Eureka. If you plan to take the trip, check the town of Eureka to see if there's a show happening in the opera house, because that would be a nice treat to do.
Yeah, and something you can do too, you can tack onto that, is they just opened a tea house in Eureka. It's called Jackson Tea House. So you can get, a nice little tea with a little, snack, a little pastry before or after the show. It's definitely transports you back to a different era for sure. So definitely recommended to check out the opera house there. About an hour-ish down the road from Eureka is the town of Austin, which there's a lot to see and do in the town of Austin itself. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of there's garnets and turquoise in the hills of Nevada. In Austin, you can do a lot of mining for turquoise, and kind of like I mentioned in Ely, you can take that turquoise that you found to a shop there called the Little Bird Turquoise, and they can help you turn it into a memento or a souvenir from your trip along the highway itself. Another thing that you might not know about Nevada is that we have more hot springs than any other state. So some of them as Travel Nevada we keep secret because they're on private land and we can't promote that responsibly. But there are others, like the one that you can find along this road trip called Spencer Hot Spring. That's on the Bureau of Public Land, on our public land. So you're able to go for a dip at these hot springs. Definitely, a very only in Nevada experience. The hot spring culture here is very strong. We have a whole page dedicated to hot spring etiquette on our website, travelnevada.com, where you can learn the do's and don'ts, and see if that might be something that you're into. I personally think there's nothing better than dipping into a hot spring on a cold day, especially if the snow is falling. It's just fantastic. And Spencer Hot Spring is one of the more easier hot springs to find in the state. The other ones you might have to work a little bit to get to, but this is one that is doable for anyone who's traveling along Highway 50.
And close to the Spencer Hot Springs, there's the Spur Saloon. So there's, I want to say it's about a 15-20 minute drive from it, and it's a fun saloon. I think it's really, the owner's great. It's a fun atmosphere. They play really good music. So again, just adds to the experience.
Yeah, and on the topic of saloons, Jennifer, we have a whole section that is Sagebrush Saloons that we branded Sagebrush Saloons, and it really, it's kind of like Cheers. I don't know if you're all familiar with the show Cheers, but it's where everybody knows your name. The Nevada saloons are very much neighborhood, community-based bars, but they, like we mentioned earlier, everyone wants to know who you are, want to hear your story, and it's a great experience, something that you can't find, I think, anywhere else. So Sagebrush Saloons and the Lucky Spur is definitely on that list.
And talk about saloons, we go from Austin to Middle Gate, which is a very famous bar. And you're aware when you're traveling Highway 50, about an hour away from Austin. I love this place, not just because of the atmosphere, but the Monster Burger is really good. Like I know you see restaurants with their crazy burgers or their crazy plate, and then you get it because of the picture, and then you try the food and you're like, just the one thing that I'm gonna get. No, the burger here, it's amazing. I love it. I cannot eat it. If I could eat it all, I would eat it all, but I can't. But I can't.
It's huge. So that's a picture of it. I don't know if you mentioned that. That's a picture that you see. That's the Monster Burger.
That's the Monster Burger that you see in this picture. Yes. So again, it's a bar that was built because of the Pony Express. It's a gas station stop for many people who are not keeping track of their fuel tank on the drive. This is one area where you can stop and get some very expensive gas. So we definitely recommend always keep an eye on your tank when you're traveling down the Highway 50. But you can also stay at the Middle Gate if you're having too much fun. They have a little motel on site, so you can stay there. And if you need a little extra break from visiting all the saloons, we don't recommend you drink and drive.
Right, absolutely. So something else, just like a mile outside of Middlegate Saloon, I wanted to mention really quickly is the Shoe Tree. So you'll be driving down Highway 50 and you'll come across this tree that is covered in shoes. And the tradition is, the story goes that a couple was camping out in the desert and they got into a fight. And I don't know if it was the man or the woman, but one of the two went to said they were gonna leave. They're gonna go down to Middlegate Station, take a little breather, and the other spouse, I don't know, again, man or woman, took the shoe and threw it into the tree so that they couldn't walk the mile down to Middlegate Station. So that's become a tradition when you're driving down Highway 50 to toss your tree toss your shoe into the tree, so you can do that through there, which is, I think, a lot
Make
of fun.
sure you bring an extra pair of shoes.
Yes, for
Keep
sure.
the tradition going.
Okay, so from Middlegate Station to Fallon is about 45 minutes or so. And Fallon is known for its agriculture. So it's known for its farm to fork restaurants, really into, like growing fruits and vegetables. And Latin Farms is one of the farms that you can go to there and get produce. My husband actually works out in Fallon, so in the summer I get all the fresh produce, which is fantastic and a lot of fun. Along that road, you'll also pass Sand Harbor, which is one of, I think, only 6 singing sand dunes in the world. So the way that the sand vibrates against each other in the wind creates like a humming sound. So they call it a singing sand dune. Jennifer, have you ever heard it? I've actually never heard it, but I know
I've not had the opportunity. Every time I've driven or gone Highway 50, it's not windy enough. Yeah. So no, I've yet to experience that.
Yeah, me either. But one of these days we will. But you can rent like an ATV out in Reno, and you can take it down to Fallon and there's a lot of off-road competitions or just recreational sort of like off-roading events that happen at the Sand Mountain recreational area. I mentioned, of course, Latin Farms and their amazing, agriculture and their food scene there. There's a distillery. I'm trying to think of the name. There's a craft distillery where all the grain and everything that's grown goes into the distillery. So that's very unusual and very unique. Nevada has 2. We have one also in Carson City area everything is grain to glass. So everything grown on site goes into the glass. And Frey Ranch is one of those that does tours and tastings.
And they offer free tours too. Free.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of fun.
Tracy, we're forgetting the main big part that your husband's part of.
Oh yeah, so of course, yeah. So there's a naval air station in Fallon. So and it is also home to the Top Gun school. So all the pilots who train for the Navy, all their fighter jet pilots are stationed out in Fallon. And if you watch the upcoming, I know we talked about this on the last call, but for anybody who wasn't on the call, Top Gun, the sequel, is coming out hopefully sometime this year. They keep pushing it back. But when and if you see that movie, a lot of that scenery that you'll see in the movie is actually Nevada. So they filmed a lot. And actually, my husband had to help Tom Cruise with his accommodations, his whole thing. So it's definitely a fun place to visit. And, you'll find kind of that Top Gun culture mentality around the town of Fallon. They're very proud of the military and the patriotic. You'll find that all over the town. So definitely is something fun to check out. You can also, when you're driving through Fallon, you don't even have to be involved with the military. They'll be doing operations. So you'll see the jets flying in the sky, and it's just a lot of fun.
And this is the Sand Mountain that we're talking about, and then cute little downtown shot of Fallon. But as you kind of, and if you didn't choose to stay at the motel of Middlegate or Fallon, or in the town of Fallon, you could end your trip in Carson City, which is the capital of Nevada, and it's nestled right in northwestern part of the state. So Carson City is where everything began when it comes to history for Nevada, right? We have close proximity. We're actually here right now in Carson City. This is where we're coming live from. So we have great proximity to Lake Tahoe, Reno, the Carson Valley, which is also, like Tracy mentioned earlier, lots of agriculture is in the Carson Valley area too. So you could also take a tour of the distillery, the Bentley distillery that is in the Carson Valley, the Virginia and Truckee Railroad. You can ride the train, go to Virginia City. It's a great hub for all of our Wild West and Nevada historical culture. It's a great hub to be here in Carson City to get to know the true roots of Nevada, and again, more of the nature and atmosphere that local friendly atmosphere that our whole state has to offer.
And just yesterday, so Halloween, October 31st is Halloween, but is also Nevada's birthday. So yesterday, Nevada turned 157. We all enjoy cake and champagne here at the Capitol. So there's this weekend on Saturday, there's a big Nevada Day parade. A lot of fun to celebrate the state capitol.
So that's visiting Nevada on the last Saturday of October. Make sure you're in Carson City because it's a big party here. Huge party, huge parade. We go all out. So if you're in Nevada, make sure you make the last, in the month of October, make sure it's the last Saturday of October because you're going to have fun with everybody.
Definitely. All right. I think
we're ready for our next round. But if you have not had a chance to review the other webinars that we've done, please visit travelnevada.com. We have a whole list of itineraries, sample itineraries. Corey is a great contact, and I know he's going to be doing some personal follow-up with everybody. So make sure you're connecting with us all the time.
And look what I found on my bulletin board, guys. It's my I Survived the Loneliest Road to America passport.
Did we touch base on that, Tracy?
We didn't. Should we? Yeah, we should explain that really quickly, huh?
How do you get one of these? How do you get one of these? I've got one.
So
go ahead.
So to encourage people to go along Highway 50, we created a passport book. So you're encouraged to stop at different businesses along at US 50, get a stamp, and then you mail your completed passport. I'm looking around, I have one over here. You mail your completed passport back to Travel Nevada, and we send you an I Survived the Loneliest Road in America certificate signed by the governor. It's a lot of fun.
It's a fun souvenir.
And I see a couple others have theirs as well. So if you don't have one yet, and the coolest thing is it finishes in Carson City as well. And Tracy and Jennifer both provided their contact details. And I know they'd love to catch up with all of you when you get there. So just another really great opportunity for your clients that are traveling along Highway 50. Amazing. Okay, well, I think we've got 3 more trivia questions to ask about that Loneliest Road. So I'll ask the first one. And again, just answer right on the screen and hit submit when you're done. So the Loneliest Road in America got its name in this year. Was it 2000, 1986, or 1950?
All right, question 2. Pull up a seat at this roadside diner and try to finish its famed Monster Burger. Middlegate Station, McDonald's, or Pioneer Saloon?
And question number 3, what kind of gem can be rock hound for in the town of Ely? So hard to know when I give away the answers.
Amazing. And we're just going to give you a couple more seconds to answer those. And again, just in follow-up to Jennifer's comments, so we will send out an announcement tomorrow with a link to the recording in case any of your colleagues you'd like to share that with. We'll also announce the winner of our spot prize from correctly answering the trivia questions. And don't forget, but November 16th is our next webinar in our Talk It Tuesdays series with Travel Nevada. It's going to focus on the Lake Tahoe Loop and the Burner Byway. So many of you have heard of Burning Man, and we have a whole Burner Byway that's dedicated to that event as well. So stay tuned for that on the 6th of November. There's still time to sign up. But Jennifer and Tracy, thank you again. We're seeing some great thanks coming in as well in the chat box. You guys are so knowledgeable, and thanks for sharing your passion and knowledge of these road trips with our audience today. And we'll conclude today by offering one final feel of what the loneliest road in America is all about with this video.